Hello, this is David G. Hartwell. I'm a senior editor at Tor and Forge Books in New York. I've been editing science fiction since 1970. I've edited a lot of people over the course of my career, but I'm pleased to also be the editor of Paul Levinson. I edited his first novel, The Silk Code, and I edited his most recent novel, The Plot to Save Socrates, and all the books in between.
Author Paul Levinson.
I'm Paul Levinson. This is Levinson News Clips with three crucial questions that I see emerging from the new split in Lost that we saw presented so brilliantly in the Season 6 premiere the other night. Here are the three questions with my answers, at least as of now. Question 1. Is there any linkage or leakage between the Los Angeles reality, in which Flight 815 never crashed, and the reality of our survivors back on the island? Survivors now not only of a plane crash, but an H-bomb explosion. As I mentioned in my review of the season premiere, which you can find in the preceding episode of Levinson News Clips, Juliet's last moments and what Miles told Sawyer about what Juliet wanted to tell Sawyer are key. Juliet seems to have been in touch with that world in which Flight 815 never crashed, just before her death. And there's other possible evidence of linkage. Desmond, the time traveler on the LAX plane, is a prime example. If there's a character that could move between two alternate realities, it would be Desmond, who we already know can move through time. And Jack did have an expression, when we first see him on the plane, of possible déjà vu, though that's the least clear, as far as evidence is concerned. But I'd say Juliet and Desmond are pretty impressive. Question 2. Has there been a history of either Jacob or the Nemesis taking over bodies of the dead before, just as the Nemesis took over Locke's body? I'd say almost certainly yes, and that Christian Shepherd on the island was likely Jacob in his body. Christian's body in a coffin was brought to the island on a plane in the same way as Locke's. I also think this makes it more likely that Claire is alive. It, after all, may not have been Christian's ghost that led her away, but Jacob in Christian's body. And question number 3. What happened to everyone else on the island after the H-bomb went off? Now, this is in some ways the most significant question, though question number 1 about linkage is pretty important too. One answer would be presumably everyone on the island died, because how could they live underwater? But why then did Jack, Kate, Sawyer, Hurley, Miles, Jin, Juliet and Saeed at first, survive the blast? Why did the island itself? What happened with Sun and Richard and Lapidus? It's also not 100% clear, at least not to me, about whether Jack, Kate, Hurley, etc. are in the same timeline as Sun, Richard, etc. Jacob does talk to Hurley after Jacob's dead, but Jacob may have the ability to time travel and who knows what else. For that matter, call this question 3A. I'm not even sure whether Jack, Kate, etc. on the island are in 2007, where Sun and Richard are, or in 2004, the time of the alternate reality in Los Angeles. In any case, all of this suggests that something about the island, and or something about the people, and or who knows what else, enabled some, all, many, maybe just the people we saw, to survive the blast. Which means all bets are off regarding who survived, and who did not. You gotta hand it to Lost. No matter how much is explained, all bets are forever off. But here's a bet you can definitely depend on. I'll be back here soon with my review of the next episode of Lost in this finale season, and who knows, maybe even before then, with some more analysis of this great wrap-up to what in many ways is the best show ever to have been on television. In the meantime, I'm Paul Levinson. Enjoy.
Paul Levinson's Silk Code, about an ancient biotech war raging on in secret for centuries.
Oh, hey, I just wanted to welcome a brand new sponsor to Levinson News Clips, Angie's List. Now, once a month, you're going to hear a special commercial spot for Angie's List with a code that will give you 25% off on Angie's List, where you can get all kinds of leads on everything ranging from doctors to weddings to home improvements. You can reach Angie's List at angieslist.com. And you can put in your promo code when you're filling out your membership form. LEVIN for 25% off.
Athens, 2042 AD. She ripped the paper in half, then ripped the halves, then ripped what was left again into bits and pieces of history that could have been. Sierra Waters had read once that, years ago, it was thought that men made love for the thrill, while women made love for the sense of connection it gave them. Sierra had always done everything for the thrill.
She ripped the paper in half, then ripped the halves, then ripped what was left again into bits and pieces of history that could have been. Entertainment Weekly says the plot to save Socrates is challenging fun. The New York Daily News says it's a Da Vinci-esque thriller. And Curled Up with a Good Book says Sierra Waters is sexy as hell. You can find out more about The Plot to Save Socrates by Paul Levinson at theplottosavesocrates.com.
Traveled 2,500 years back in time to ancient Athens to save Socrates from certain death, and now he doesn't want to come back with me. Oi, I'm gonna plot! All this and more in Paul Levinson's The Plots to Save Socrates.